over here, boss. Okay, after like 2 weeks of not all being together, guys, I gotta tell you, I need you in my life. I need you in my life because the vibes I'm feeling now are just top notch. I'm sitting up straighter in my chair. I'm like containing my excitement. I miss you guys. I miss you. And to all of you guys as well, I miss you. And welcome. My name is Trav. We've got Quantic, we got Kobe, and we've got our special guest, Whale Swoosh. And all of us are Web3 Matters. And we have a big one today. We have a really big one today. Actually, I don't even want to fade this because everyone's aware of the state of the market right now. It hurts. It hurts. I'm gonna check in with you guys about this here real quick. What feels a little bit different about the market this cycle, and I don't know if it's just me and like my echo chamber that I've made on X, but like the vibes haven't been as like just super depressed and negative. Like people are actually refocused. People are actually, putting the time into building. Are you guys finding this as well, or is this just me?
I don't listen to anybody.
Good.
I
Conversation
don't
over. Let's
listen
keep
to
going.
anybody. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. Honestly, like I wish I could have a better answer of like how sentiment is on my timeline,
Mhm.
but my timeline's like not like barely Web3 stuff. And if it is Web3 stuff, it's like builder focused content, which nobody's talking about price and stuff like that. I've probably like eliminated all of that stuff off of my TL.
That's right.
So
Let's
yeah,
let's let's not forget that Kobe is, of course, our resident bear. So yeah, let's not even continue this conversation any further. Quantic, what are you finding? How's your timeline been feeling these days?
I also don't pay too much attention, to be honest, mostly because I'm focused on building stuff. And I think that every builder out there probably feels kind of the same way. And I can tell you the conditions are actually quite good, in the sense that we have institutional capital and adoption happening all the way around in crypto. This is not going to stop, this is only going to accelerate. And what I do feel is that a lot of people that are like very crypto DGen native, they are not having a good time because all those, good old on-chain times, let's call it that way, probably are kind of ending, right? Things are
Yes.
getting a little bit more serious and whatnot. And if you add to that how the market is behaving at this moment, well, probably you're not feeling so well. However, I have written a few pieces on this. I think that this is an amazing time to build something and to show up, really show up, like do something for the crypto society, create good content, and you're gonna stand out.
100%. And I could definitely attest to that. As a guy who's been around, this is not my first bear market. I remember having this conversation with you last bear cycle there, Quantic. Just to, now is the opportunity, now is the time to actually sit down and start building something. And this cycle, like financially, feeling the rewards from doing that here. So there's no such thing as a bear market, if that makes sense. Whale, welcome, my friend. I'm gonna quickly just check in with you, see what your thoughts are on the sentiment right now, and then we're gonna dive into the kind of the curriculum. That's not the word. The breakdown of our conversation for today, and we're just gonna get right into it here. So, Whale, welcome, my friend. So great to see you.
Hey guys, so good to see you as well. Yeah, I mean, sentiment is kind of in the gutter, but like Quantic said, if you're building, like that is your priority. Like I'm not hoping for prices to go up. Like prices are just noise. And right now I'm focusing on working. If we have time, I can do a quick demo of what we're doing with the DeFi tracker. It's just been amazing. Like everything works and it's just beautiful. So focusing on that, and then the price. I mean, right now we just have to survive this. Like the fundamentals have never been stronger. So whatever happens in the short term, in the longer term, I'm ultra bullish. So I think that that's what matters. We're building, we're creating stuff, and I just want to be ready for when the market shifts a little bit.
Awesome. So I feel like we got a pretty good platform to step off of here. Uh, while the vibes are low, there's also a tremendous amount of opportunity that comes with these lower price ranges here. So let's make that happen. Let's take advantage of those opportunities and let's keep going. And speaking about opportunities, we were talking about our plan for today before our conversation, and yeah, well, actually, maybe Kobe, I'm going to send the mic over to you here. I've been talking for way too long. Why don't you let our audience here know what the plan is for today, and then we'll get right into it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So of course we want to like jump right into a little bit of a market update. Trav's gonna maybe kind of give unless that's what we already did. If we want to look at charts, we could do that. We're going to jump into a new launch that happened yesterday. That kind of revolves around something that Quantic alluded to earlier in terms of like, you know, I guess I won't spill the beans too much. I'll leave it to Quantic. So he's going to share something about a launch that happened yesterday. A GPT 5.2 codex came out yesterday. 5.2, Quantic and I talked about it last week. Did some cool comparisons, so I could talk about that. And I also have a little bit of an obscure demo with kind of a really weird use case for what was launched yesterday that we're going to be talking about. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is the majority of the things on the rundown here today. So yeah.
No, you nailed it, my friend. You nailed it. Perfect. Thank you so much here. So before we jump into the market update, and I'm happy to kind of take off that conversation here, Quantic, was there anything you wanted to tease about this drop before we get into the charts?
I think we can go right ahead into the charts, and then in about let's say 10 to 15 minutes, I'll just share about like proof rails, what we're building, and all that. But just so you know, and the people in our audience, it's not like the intention is we're gonna show this stuff. Like it's actually a developer tool, so it doesn't make much sense actually. But the main point is to give you, just a high level overview and show you an interesting contest that I think is going to be taking place with one integration that we have with Capella, this app for creators. And also, more importantly, is to talk about how does it work to launch a product during the bear market, essentially, or a bad period for crypto, and what are some lessons that I think I have learned over the years, and I kind of show some things yesterday, right? That you can use as a lesson.
Solid. I mean, honestly, I think that's a really good segue off of how we began this conversation because we've already established that when the prices are low, the degens are upset, but the builders are really starting to shine. And when we're talking about tools that are being built for builders, when we're talking about giving alpha to help builders succeed in the bear market, you've come to the right place here, friends. So without further ado here, I'm going to pop up my screen. Can you guys see this all right? We good to go?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
To go.
Perfect. So we can see here, first of all, this blue line, Bitcoin. We're definitely, still pretty low. However, actually, I'm just gonna make sure this is the most up to date that it can be. Let's see here. Oh yeah, no, we can actually see we've been bouncing around these really low levels. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. Let's see here, when is this? November 20th. We have been just consolidating in this range, kind of squeezing lower and lower over the past week or so. But yeah, we had a nice little relief bounce off this low here. This first chart here, so basically, actually, guys, I'm realizing I'm getting way too ahead of myself here. First, let me introduce this tool that I'm looking at here. So this is, shout out to you guys at Santiment. This is their flagship product, Sandbase. And this is telling us a whole bunch of on-chain data that's collected in various ways and showing us in charts. And this has been some of the most powerful, these have been some of the most powerful indicators I've ever used when it comes to actually figuring out what's been going on with price action and then what might actually happen in the very near future. So without further ado, let's just kind of keep going here. So this one here, this is transaction volume. I don't really want to spend any time here. I want to kind of keep it concise and to like the most important indicators here. Maybe we'll start off with the MVRV. This one is one of my favorite ones. So there's two different colors here. We've got the yellow, and then I'm just going to take off this blue one because I don't really mess with that one a whole lot here. we've got the yellow and we've got the red. So basically what this tells us is people who've been holding here for the yellow, for example, people who've been holding Bitcoin for about a year. This tells us that they're at a pretty significant loss right now. And when we're looking at people who've been holding Bitcoin for 30 days now, they're actually they're in profit again, finally, after a significant amount of time here. So you can tell these people probably bought on some of these lows here. Actually, yeah, they would have bought not these lows. So that's why they're in profit now. So what I'm kind of interpreting from this is that short term, likely we may see a little bit of profit taking happen. It may have actually already began, but mid to longer term, what goes down must go back up. And the way this indicator works is that the more loss holders are, especially for the ones who've been holding for the longest term, the more likely price is going to go up here. So you can see these people who've been holding now for a year have been in loss for a good while. This is actually a bullish sign here. So first indicator, we're going to look at as short-term bearish, mid-term bullish. What do you guys think about that?
I dig it. I dig it. And yeah, I know we weren't going to spend time on it, but there was a bunch of volume at the bottom, at the local bottom here. So, like way more volume than pretty much anywhere else in that period. So
yes,
that would make sense that a bunch of people bought there, right? Like really good traders or like, kind of smart money.
yes.
And like you said, they probably already have taken some profits off the table if they caught that wick at the bottom. I would be doing the
100%.
same thing. So maybe if that buying pressure goes away, then we see the extension. And on my charts, I've got us going down to like 65 for target one. And I know nobody wants to hear this, but even maybe 48 or 49K for target two on a big bear flag on the daily chart.
Yep. All the more reason to freaking start building some stuff here. So I agree. The good thing about all of this is that when you see all the volume come in, it's happening at the bottoms. There's a theory called Wyckoff theory. I've definitely talked about it a lot. I'm not going to get into it today, but it basically shows that likely we could be in a short to medium term accumulation because all the volume is happening at the bottom. But I digress here. I'm just gonna keep going here. So this one here, pardon me?
Sorry, Trav, just to give some general perspective is I think that this kind of analysis would be nice to see combined with macroeconomic stuff, right?
Yeah.
Important news from politics and whatever. I don't know if Whale in this sense might have some information or a different way to approach it.
Yeah, well, do you have your finger on the pulse at all with the kind of like the macroeconomic situation at all?
Yeah, I mean, one aspect that I've been observing is that like gold, like metals and stocks, everything are like so close to all-time high. So in my opinion, one or the other is mispriced. Like either everything else is overpriced against crypto, or crypto is way underpriced against everything else. So I don't know. I feel like charts, of course, it tells you things, but I do believe, and I agree with Quantic, that we have to see this as a whole. Like you can't just look at the charts because the fundamentals have never been stronger. Now, I also understand that the manipulation that is happening right now, right before regulations, that's a big one. But I don't know. It's a very confusing market for sure. I mean, if I was
more
only looking at
confusing
the
than
news,
it's ever been.
Yeah, and then the liquidity above on every single chart that matters is ridiculous. And I do not see a world where that liquidity does not get taken. I mean, I think on Bitcoin, there's liquidity all the way up to like 140,000. XRP, there's a ton of liquidity all the way to 420 or something like that.
Wow.
Ethereum, the same. Every other chart has a lot of liquidity. So, I mean, this idea that bears all of a sudden are totally right and they're going to fully win, I don't know, I'm hard to believe. But markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So don't bet on that as well.
So this is the thing, Trav, which maybe, I'm sharing this feedback because I think that maybe you would be the right person since you look at numbers, you look at these kind of tools to start plugging in what's happening with gold and also what's happening with the money supply, right? Because we know that like this is broadly agreed at this point, which is like if money supplies goes up significantly, then what happens is that that pumps the rest of the assets, real estates, S&P 500, whatever, and then at some point, some of that arrives into crypto, and that's where you're expecting to see things happening. So perhaps it would be nice to have a way to track that down in these charts to kind of correlate things. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. That does make sense. I agree. And I think, you know, that's definitely something I'd like to for sure add to the analysis. I think it'll make it more powerful. Just to kind of respond to a bunch of the other points that were made and provide a little bit more context. What I find, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, when we're looking at kind of some of the macroeconomic factors like gold, especially, um, well, usually that works kind of in the opposite or in the opposite as like crypto and the overall market, like the S&P 500, right? So when the market goes down, when crypto goes down, gold goes up. So is that still accurate, or has that changed?
Is that a question for
I
me? Because
mean,
I don't,
yeah,
I don't
go
know
ahead,
the
go
answer.
ahead, go
No,
ahead,
no, no, I
Victor.
don't
But
know the
yeah,
answer. Please go.
no, I mean, it has been that gold goes up and then Bitcoin goes down and then it follows. So I don't know. I do believe that we're on uncharted territory right now, and I don't know if looking at past is a good reference to what's going to come. And
Very
I
fair.
think that like the crypto market is so different right now. Like in
Yeah.
17 and 21, you would just put money on any token and it would just pump. Like those days, I am fairly sure that they're over. And I
Yeah.
think that right now the value, like the underlying value on the assets are going to start to really show and make a difference. Like I do not believe that we're going to have a broad all season ever again, because like
Wow.
most of the alts and meme coins that pumped the last two cycles, they pumped just because there was money rotation. Like I believe that that is not going to happen. So I the charts, like something is different, even though those are famous last words for investors, but there is things that are different right now. I don't know. It's a very tricky environment for sure. So like that's what I said. Right now, the only mission is to survive.
100%. 100%. No, and like that's a really important takeaway for anyone who is watching right now, is that now that there is so much exposure to crypto, now that there are so many institutional players, now that there's like so much like media coverage of this, the what was I going to say here? The manipulation that's happening behind the scenes is at an all-time high, and and crypto will never be the same. You know, this is a whole other topic of conversation, but now like this is why the fear and greed index is such a important thing to pay attention to, is because anyways, you know what? I feel like I was about to go off on an absolute tear about that. I'm not going to. Maybe we should have our own dedicated stream to like fear and greed and market manipulation here. I don't want to get too off topic. But so maybe I'll just leave it at that, and then I'll show this heat map that we have here for the last year here, and just to kind of prove or to show or highlight Whale's point here is that, you know, you can see how whenever there are these high liquidity zones, price has gone in to absolutely destroy that. The good thing about this specific chart here, I know we really should be able to zoom out a little bit more to figure out what's happening on the higher time frames, but a lot of those really big liquidity zones down to the downside they've pretty much been swept up here, unless there's some bigger ones even lower that I haven't seen here. But from this specific chart, you know, the next ones to take out are like the highs, like the 126, 127, and all of that. So again, you know, this is just one piece of the puzzle. There very well could be these liquid, and probably are, these liquidity zones like that are not on this specific chart here. But you know, something to be considered. People want to take out these liquidity zones so that they can, you know, buffer their own bags. So before we get back into the sentiment dashboard here, any kind of last thoughts you guys wanted to touch on before we kind of wrap up the market update and carry the conversation forward?
Yeah, one thing that I just wanted to say is like, yeah, and you know me, man, tinfoil speedo. I would love to like go balls deep with you on. Wait a minute. Go deep with you on this market manipulation
Yes,
and things.
yes.
But yeah, save that for another day. All I know is they're gonna print this. They're gonna print the dollar to zero eventually. Um, it just might not happen anytime soon, right? They're going to keep propping things up. You see it in the stock market. To Whale's point, I do think that actually that I agree with his point. One of the two things is happening. Crypto is undervalued from the rest of the every other market in the world, or the rest of the markets are overvalued. I tend to lean a little bit more towards the latter, where I think things like AI stocks, AI infrastructure, things like Nvidia and such are overpriced. But we're in the middle of a cold war with China, an AI cold war with China. So of course those things are going to be pumped with liquidity. So save that for another day, though.
Awesome. Nope, I agree. And that's the tough thing about, maybe this is my final thought on market manipulation here. That's the tough thing about, prices being manipulated and price moving only with the goal of, taking out liquidity, is that the true value of whichever asset that price is trying to represent is like very rarely going to be accurate. So it's really hard to actually, you know, try and use the fundamentals of the asset to predict where price is going. And that's why I like to look at on-chain data to actually figure out, what, like, who's buying where, and then that may help us determine where price is going to go in the future. And then even like looking at those macroeconomic, like media coverage, like big economic events, the only reason I really pay attention to those as well is to figure out kind of what's the sentiment behind it. Like, are people getting overly bullish that some big news is going to be dropped by Trump? And so I
I
interpret
think
that
that there is
almost.
a problem with that thesis, Trav.
There's a problem.
Yes, I think there's a big problem because where is the money that buys crypto coming from in the first place?
Uh, I feel like I'm overcomplicating that question, but I'm going to guess like
The Federal Reserve.
the
One way or
institutions.
another is kind of coming from that flow, right? So I would expect that a good analysis start by trying to track that flow and say, okay, how much money is entering the system and where that money is going from, and then from
Mhm.
those different baskets, which one is actually rotating to crypto. And then once you have that, you would kind of want to do this kind of analysis with the sentiment and where is it going on chain, right? Which is, of course, a relevant question. Uh,
Okay.
but it
I think I
starts from
understand what
there.
you're saying. So that's what you meant by like the money supply is actually tracking, you know, the overall liquidity of the reserve and see where it's actually being planted in.
It has always been the case that crypto gets pumped when there is an injection of external money.
Mhm.
Where the question is, I'm gonna put it this way: where does this money is coming from? That's the relevant
Mm,
question, right? Because that way,
got
if
you.
you know, for instance, let's say that it comes directly from the M2 supply, then okay, you can correlate that and you can actually utilize that to say, you know what, we are seeing a very sentiment, but really what is happening is that the liquidity is dry at the moment, but the liquidity is coming because of whatever macro economic indicator. And then
Mm,
you would go and look at it, things on chain, because before that is like, you don't know the reason behind it.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Well, we'll have to have a conversation after this and kind of figure out how we can get that information. Because you're right, it does sound very valuable. And just as part of like the big picture, we need as much data as we possibly can get. And speaking about data, Whale shared these links here to kind of share what he was talking about earlier about these liquidation zones. Like, holy crap, Whale, you want to just kind of let us know what we're looking at here? I've got a pretty good sense, and this is absolutely wild.
Yeah, so basically, I sent you two links. That's for Doge, BNB, XRP, and LTC. And as you can see, like if you open any of those charts, most of the liquidity to the downside has been taken. And that doesn't mean that the
Wow.
prices can go a little bit lower because basically what I've been observing is that because there's no liquidity, you really need very little amount of money to actually move the prices lower. But I mean, we have to think that exchanges make money when they take those liquidity. So I mean, I see that chart, and what I see is that everybody's short. So that means that if the prices went from 76 to 90, those red pockets, there would be a bunch of liquidations happening, and exchanges and market makers make money on those moves. So
That
I
makes
think
sense.
80 or 90% of the times that liquidity gets taken. So,
Yes.
I mean, one thing that I think, coming back to what Quantic was saying, is that retail does not move markets, especially not on a big scale. Like, sure, I've done trades that I've moved the market a little bit with not that much money,
Yeah.
but I don't control the market. So, I mean, the market will move when the makers decide that it's ready to move. So that's the part that is hard to calculate or predict. But
Agreed.
I do not see a world where all of that liquidity. Can you open the second link? That's the Bitcoin
Yeah.
chart.
Hold up here.
Because ultimately Bitcoin for now it's moving.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. And whenever this happens, it always happens with Bitcoin first, right? Which is
Yeah.
what you would do if you have a bunch of cash and you're a wealthy hedge fund, whatever, you would put your money in Bitcoin first, and then perhaps you would rotate, or perhaps other would follow and rotate, or whatever. But that's the reason why always Bitcoin goes first.
Absolutely.
So that's the
That's pretty wild.
That's the 1 hour chart. So as you can see, there's some orange liquidity at 83, but if we look at 95, like the amount of liquidity is crazy. And I don't know if in that link there's the daily liquidity for Bitcoin. Let me see.
XRP. Is this XRP? No, that's still XRP. Okay. That's insane.
So that's the daily.
This is the daily for XRP.
So as you can see, there's some liquidity all the way down to 140, but it's light green. Like, look at how much liquidity there is at $4.
Yeah, and we've seen
that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like we will see that liquidity be left alone. I don't think so, and that doesn't mean that that has to be taken tomorrow or today. It just means that that liquidity is going to be taken at some point, because that's where market makers and exchanges make money. Like that, for
100%.
that very simple reason.
No, and we've seen on previous live streams, like I know in when we had that, like that, when I don't remember what the date was, maybe it was early October or something like that, where we had that massive liquidation event that was the biggest in crypto's history. We even saw from some analysis that there was a very, very high chance that it was wallets affiliated with I forget the exchange, but some of the bigger exchanges that kind of started off that cascade of, you know, liquidation events. So they have the means, they have the capability to just drop or rise price as they will. And I know, just, you know, tinfoil speedo, like you said there, Kobe, you know, especially with their government affiliations these days as well. Like the government has their hand in that pocket as well to help also control these massive price swings to trigger these liquidation events. It's pretty freaking wild here. So yeah, we are about halfway through our live stream now, guys. Do you want to have a quick look at what the whales are doing, and then we'll carry on with the conversation here? I'm seeing head moves this way, but no consensus here.
No. I already know what the whales are doing. They're buying, and then they're selling.
Buying. And they're selling.
And then
they're buying
and then they're
selling.
buying lower, and then they're waiting for other people to pump their bags, and then they're selling, and then they're I don't care.
He doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to know what the whales are doing. This is funny. I think we can move forward though. But although Trav, since you did the research, perhaps you want to share, you know, just a second.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Awesome. Okay, let's. That was perfect. Let's pull something up here. We'll do a quick just peek-a-rooney, and then we'll carry on here. So whales are, they bought at that bottom, but then it looks like they've been kind of taking profits a little bit here. So, yeah, that, um, yeah, maybe we'll just leave it at that. But like no massive moves, and that's the biggest thing I want to make clear here is that they definitely protected that local bottom, which is huge. And they took a little bit of profit, but they're still like kind of holding at those like decent levels here. So I think it's I'm going to be very curious to see what they do in the near future. So based off of this one, yeah, it's kind of holding that we're probably going to see a little bit of a lower push in the next little bit here. But you know, nothing crazy definitive. The last thing I definitely want to look at is just the weighted sentiment. This is probably one of the most accurate indicators that you can possibly see in this whole plethora of indicators that we're looking at here. And we can take a look and see that this most recent bottom, this like kind of peak fear episode that we had on November 21st, November 20th, you know, this is kind of the lowest we've seen, or the most feariest that we've seen the community here now for a very, very long time. And that's actually quite
Scariest.
bullish. Yes, the feariest, scariest. So this little point here is, you know, kind of bullish. But again, you know, did that move already happen? Could be based off that one. Not entirely sure here. So yeah, to end it off, guys, nothing crazy definitive. So, which is telling me that, you know, I'm not expecting any massive moves in the near future here. Although just looking at price action, anyways, you know what? I got nothing. Let's carry on this conversation here. Any final thoughts before we keep going?
Yeah, TLDR, build and ignore everything else.
There it is. Exactly. Also not a bad idea to dollar cost average, no financial advice. Carrying on.
100%. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Quantic, why don't you introduce us? Oh, actually, sorry, Will, I see you're off mute here. Floor is yours.
No, yeah, or just do DeFi and accumulate. I mean,
Yes.
all my positions are like in terms of US value, they're lower than they were before. But like if I wasn't doing DeFi, I would still have that lower values. But I mean, I have an LP that in US value, it's giving me 4%, but in crypto terms, it's giving me 16% per year on the FXRP staked XRP LP.
Yes.
So that's a very interesting thing because sure, like my APR in terms of USD, it's going down, but in terms of crypto, it's nice. So I think that these are the times that really can change your life, even if it takes a while. And so I'm not really putting much money. I've been putting so much energy into like building my life in Web3 that I'm not making that much money on real life. So like that's enough to pay for my bills. But I'm doing anything that is in my power to accumulate as much crypto as I can. And DeFi, it's been a great way to do it. One last thing, right now I'm building a data layer on the DeFi tracker where I can see what liquidity providers are doing. So it's still like in an experimental phase, but I think it's going to be pretty cool to be able to make decisions based by what the whole network is doing, especially as bigger players start coming in. I think that that's going to be a pretty interesting thing to have.
Yes, absolutely. Very excited to check that one out when it's ready to kind of show off here, Will. That's yeah, just way to empower investors. I'm all into it. And I appreciate that kind of closing thought here of, you know, now is a great time to accumulate. And yeah, I think that's maybe one of our next live streams would be great to like, we would be doing a massive service to people by kind of focusing on that here a little bit here. So Quantic, I'm going to send the mic over to you and let's talk about actually how to launch a product in a bear market. And then maybe you can introduce the giveaway here as well.
Oh, so I did something, by the way. I have some lessons to share about that as well. Okay, let me first provide a sort of introduction. What you're seeing here now on the screen is an article on Medium about Proof Rails. Proof Rails is a project that I'm working on that has a single goal of taking crypto transactions and making this compatible with the information that the real world finance utilizes, which is the standard ISO 20022. And you know what? It is in the way it has been launched at this moment, developer tool. And that means that any app on Flare in principle can integrate this and generate from their transactions a sort of, receipt or ISO 2022 style message. I'm gonna share that in just a minute. But the thing that I want to talk about today is more about like the conditions, my expectations, how things are going, and what we can learn about it. Because if you're watching this from the Web3 Matters audience, you're probably, okay, curious, you want to know a little bit more about proof rails, perhaps. Okay, cool. That's something that I really want to discuss. But if you're a builder, you really want to know, okay, what was the thing that, Quantic is sharing and that kind of works, right? That's the main thing. Um, so I was surprised with the reception yesterday because we're talking about sort of bad period for crypto in general, right? So not that many people. We're talking about Flare. I love Flare, but we are not the most popular ecosystem at this moment. And we're talking about a developer tool, so less popular as well. And actually, it's something that is correlated to, let's say TradFi or ISO stuff, which until a couple of weeks, it wasn't really that much popular as well. So I was surprised to have a very strong support from the community and even from people on the XRP ledger and other people. So I kind of took a step back and saw, okay, what is really working out here? And I could identify and I corroborate some of this information with friends and people that help me in terms of advising that are not like too much into crypto or whatever. They just look at things and provide me feedback, like unfiltered feedback, which I really appreciate, onto what things are looking good here. And there are a few things. One is like, okay, timing really wasn't really a factor here because, like I mentioned, the market is going down significantly. Nothing really big is happening around the space. However, we do have a correct narrative, right? This is a developer tool, but the thing that makes it like unique is that now you can connect with TradFi work, right? With real, let's say, with the real financial system, right? So I was right on the narrative. And the second thing I guess I have to highlight is who is building the thing behind. I was talking with a friend that is building another tool that I would say is very powerful, and it's much more advanced in the state than what I'm being building at this moment or what I launched at this moment. However, he doesn't have any means of distribution, right? He barely has a social media account. He doesn't have that many connections within the space in which he's launching this kind of stuff. And he was kind of disappointed to see that he didn't got too much eyes into the launch. And then he looked at my stuff and he was like, dude, how did you did that? And the reason is because I have built this distribution of creating content, of having people that actually respects my work. They know that I'm not gonna shield some weird stuff or whatever. They know that if I'm doing something and I'm putting my name behind it, it's because it's something that is worth checking out, right? At least just listen about it, right? Regardless if you're going to use it or if you care or not. So I think these two lessons can apply for everyone. And the third one, which is really important, is how you activate internally your network, right? You guys saw
Mhm.
that during those days, I wasn't very much active internally on the Telegram chats or whatever. I was very slow at replying. Probably I still am, but I was very clear on telling you guys specifically, you know what, when we launch this stuff, I really need your support. And I did this with a lot of other friends, right? And they all came together that same day and they show up. And because of that, I was able to get like quite a few eyes into something that I wasn't really expecting that much. And I also have to say a big thank you to the Flare team because, I work at Flare, of course, and some of them knew about this stuff. Others they didn't even knew because for me it's just I'm gonna push this from a developer's perspective, and that's pretty much it. And I was surprised to get a lot of eyes and a lot of support. Even the main Flare account actually retweeted or quote tweeted the main post, and you get that kind of support. And some people might think, oh, it's because this guy works there. It's not just that. It's just because I'm doing something that has good quality, that actually provides value to the ecosystem, and you can see it clearly. And that because I have tried to build good relationships with people. So I think that these lessons actually applies in moment like this. And if you're a builder, always you have to think about having a great product, but also building your distribution layer. It's significantly important. And I think that this is going to become more and more important as AI democratizes the access to build stuff. I think that this one in particular is a little bit more complex to build, but you can build it probably with AI as well. But the thing is that distribution, how do you copy paste that? How do you copy paste a relationship, a strategy, people that are going to support you, that are humans that other people actually know? That's a different story.
100%, and is leaps and bounds better. That organic connection, that organically built network that's based on friendship, that's based on mutual respect, is 10,000 times more effective than a project with zero social media presence, hiring all of the most expensive KOLs, and then just getting absolutely wrecked. Huge point here. So I would a good takeaway be to also use these opportunities to start building your connection, building your brand, building your presence on social media. Like it really is kind of that simple, but not only social media, but behind the scenes as well here. Would that be a good takeaway for anyone in this space?
I would say everyone in every vertical. I think this is going to become more and more important. I don't know if Kobe or Will, you want to add something here because I know that we're a little bit stretched on time. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go over just the GitHub and then show you Capella and how the integration looks like, so that you have, a broad idea of Proof Rails, what we're doing, and how does it look like when you integrate it.
Perfect. Yes. Before the mic gets sent over here, real quick, I just want to emphasize that post that Quantic was talking about that announced the launch of Proof Rails had almost 50,000 views on one of like the lowest days we've seen in crypto in a very long time. So just to kind of highlight your point that, yeah, like if you're building a good product and you have that solid connection, it does not matter what the sentiment is. It does not matter what the price of crypto is. You know, magic happens. So yes, no, Whale, Kobe, all your guys.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I am just kind of soaking this in, and these are things, in terms of distribution. I put in our chat here, just inside like the studio. For the first time, basically this year, or like in 2025, I basically realized like distribution matters more than product. Um, it's like you do need to have a good product, and it's very important. But if you have a great product like Quantic's friend that he was talking about, it's going to fall on deaf ears. So it's almost like a waste of a good product if you don't have distribution first. And so, um, 2026, man, I'm that's my number one goal, is to build up my distribution, keep building stuff, but not like really expect things to reach a lot of eyeballs and ears. Just but create content that brings value, and continue to grow my distribution. I made a new TikTok account yesterday, so I'm already taking some steps.
Speaking about TikTok, that's a great takeaway, honestly, for anyone, and that helps me kind of reframe my own expectations in terms of building. Is it is absolutely worth spending the time creating content, creating value add content, growing your follower count, growing your connections, and really fostering those connections here as well. Whale, any final thoughts here?
No, I've been meaning to read the article that you guys posted today to read more about this Proof Rails. Sounds very interesting. Do you know if with the Flare Smart accounts there's going to be some integration, or could you like use send a transaction on another chain and then use this proof from Flare and integrate it into the payment or something, Quantic? Just trying to
Yes.
understand, like, how do you see this in the real world, like actually being implemented?
Yeah, so that's a great question because what I realized after launching this, okay, so first the idea was let's launch this and see what kind of developer we are attracting. And I saw that we have like from very different angles, even five coders, which I'm very surprised about it. And we're going to help them as well to build more stuff. Kobe, you're going to be my man there. Um, but a lot of people are asking about the DeFi case, which is of course something that you can expect from people on Flare, right? So what I can say is right now in terms of like utilizing smart accounts plus this, it's kind of hard to kind of make something that makes sense at this stage. However, it makes more sense to utilize this general purpose tool to have something new for DeFi. What I mean by this is I'm talking about considering new DeFi primitives that can be possible thanks to gathering some Web2 data, normalizing and utilizing proof rails to have something that actually makes sense to ingest for on-chain apps that can utilize this in real world assets or in DeFi vaults and things like that. So I think that right now this is an area that I'm trying to explore further, even with some team members, to see how far we can push in this direction. But in principle, like the tool here says, what we have right now is like just something that you can plug in a transaction and then have a sort of ISO style receipt, which is actually what we have here with Capella. Let me see 1 second. I'm gonna share that other screen that has the receipt generation. Let me actually show it right away because otherwise it's gonna be a little bit tough.
While you're
Okay.
pulling that up here, I just want to send a quick shout out to our 70 viewers right now. Appreciate you guys. I'm very impressed by this, especially considering the market sentiment right now. People aren't that active on X here, so really appreciate you guys showing up here. And for everyone who's shown up, who I can't quite see at the moment on all of our other channels, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. It may not be a sexy one, but it's an important one here, and there's a ton of nuggets of value to take away if you actually want to make it in the long term here. So back at you there, Quantic.
Yeah. So okay, can you guys see this thing that says middleware ISO whatever?
Yes.
So this thing that you see here is awful, right? And
Yeah.
this is the information that actually banks utilize to communicate a transaction between them. So when someone says cross-border payment or whatever types of communication of financial information, this is kind of the type of file that they generate with the specific
Bruh.
rules that are provided by ISO stuff. So what we did here is that you take a transaction on Capella, which is this application for sending tips. Let me share it here as well. And then once you send that information, you are parsing that via proof rails, and you will be able to generate this so that you can consume this information from the point of view of a traditional bank or a traditional payment system or whatever. And then you can do whatever you want with this. So I'm glad that Whale asked me this question because I think that a lot of people are actually going to be asking about the different use cases, and that's why I'm inviting people to actually read this stuff and actually test Capella in the meantime, just so that you have a broad understanding of how this information would look like, so we can start thinking about what are the main use cases. One that I can already anticipate is anything related to bringing new valuable data from TradFi to on-chain vaults and on-chain real-world assets. I think that this is something that certainly we're going to see in the future. And another thing that I want to highlight, because I don't want to hijack this conversation, is the fact that the approach that we have taken is completely different from what you can see on the market. So if you look for ISO 20022 stuff on crypto, you will see a bunch of narratives about certain projects that have coins, cryptocurrencies that are ISO compliant. That thing doesn't exist because, in fact, it doesn't make any sense. Here we're talking about ISO is for financial messaging information, communicating that information, and it looks like that awful file that I just showed to you. So that doesn't have to do anything with cryptocurrencies in principle. Now, what the people really are working on behind is precisely what I'm showing you here, which is how do we take information from the banks and actually take it on chain and from on chain to the banks, right? So the direction that I just currently showed, which is how we're launching, is we're taking crypto transaction and making from that something that banks can actually utilize and consume as information. And this is not the traditional way, because the traditional way has been, let's try and get those banks to settle on our chain, right? And then let's bring that information from the banks on chain, which of course, it makes sense. It has a completely different approach. We have taken an approach that is open source so that we can let the developer community build on top and perhaps create new solutions. And we're already kind of seeing that. And I guess that on that point, maybe Kobe is a good segue so that you can briefly talk about what is it that you did this week.
Actually, real quick before we jump over to you, Kobe, just to kind of really kind of pigtail this conversation here, Quantic. If I'm curious to kind of ask you this question, if let's say that this is kind of this technology, Proof Rails is adopted, banks start using it. What do you see? 1, 2, 3 years down the line? What do you see the effect of that being? Like, what's kind of like the big vision for this, and its potential to actually kind of change the way things go?
Yeah, okay. I think this is a great question because here the main thing is actually about the broader narrative. Like we spoke before about, TradFi and or the money supply moving crypto, then what's happened with crypto adoption? This is now being led by institutions, right? And they have their own set of rules, they have their own set of standards. And what I see is that, crypto companies they are not going to be crypto companies. They're going to be companies. And in order for that to happen, what they will have to do is to adopt the traditional systems and utilize the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies in a way that hides all the complexity and is compliant. And people just use the stuff, right? And in order to be compliant and to follow the rules of TradFi, you will need some sort of additional component that will help you do that. Then Proofrail is going to be that component. And of course, I think Flare is going to play a significant role on this, and it has a unique infrastructure with all the data protocols so that that can happen. So if we're talking about real world asset tokenization, if we're talking about this $1 trillion market that is coming from TradFi to on-chain, then you will need ways to communicate back and forth between these two systems, right? The traditional financial messaging system, which is led by this ISO standard, and the crypto stuff, whatever it is that we're doing with this block explorer and transaction hash, right? And Proofrail is going to be in between those two, making sure that those two words can talk in a way that everybody can understand.
And in a decentralized way as well, because everything is on chain.
And it's open source, it's decentralized. This thing you can take it and do stuff on Ethereum if you want. You can do things on the XRP layer if you want. Like everything is there. It's not like the other approach that other projects have been taking of. Let's do this close partnership with Swift and become the main guys, right? The main guys that are gonna bring TradFi on chain. This is like, okay, let's open the play so that anyone can build and be on the same level that these other players in terms of compliance with ISO messaging.
Love it.
So real quick, Quantic, what I understand, at least from XRP, I don't know about other tokens, is that XRP is not ISO compliant, but the RippleNet, like the payment system that Ripple, the company, uses, is. So what I'm understanding is that you are going to be able to make this like open source so that anyone can use ISO compliant messaging with any crypto project. Like in broader terms, that's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, it's kind of that. So I was actually looking at one more time, where is the code for all of these claims about ISO, ISO adoption? And the only thing that I was able to find was actually this piece of documentation with the standard RippleNet payment object, in which they actually have some native objects that would allow you to communicate from blockchain to the traditional financial system for this particular schema pax.008, whatever that means. And that's it. And then you would say, okay, where's the code for this stuff? You don't have access to that code, so you don't know what's happening. And I think that from a business perspective, you don't have any incentive to actually open up this thing for everyone. So yeah, what I'm trying to do here is trying to open this up and let other projects, other blockchains, other systems plug into this. I think this is a model that we have seen. It works in the past, and I think it's kind of inevitable, right?
And then are you using some of the Enshrine oracles to verify that message, or that would come after? How would that work?
Yeah, integrations with Flare oracles in practice are going to be taking place at a later stage, which is okay, once we have this technology and we have apps that are integrating, then can we build things on top? And then what you will find, surprise, surprise, is that to do anything meaningful, you will also have to have some sort of oracle communication, and then are going to be talking about, more Flare integrations. That's at least one of my bets.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. Yeah, I like I said, I don't know about the other cryptos. I know that Ripple, the company, does have that messaging, but that's a closed source, like a private company doing a private service with the messaging. So I do not see that being open source anytime soon, for sure. So that's great that you're building this, Quantic. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. And just a call to action to the community, because I have to actually jump into a call with one of our potential partners, is that we need your help. Like, if this is going to work, the only way it's going to work if you guys start playing with this toy. So we can talk about that later, well, and we can talk about doing something with Flare Forward and an interview and all that, and the same with Kobe, and actually the same with Trav. But
Yeah.
for now, that's all on my end.
I like playing with toys, and I know you guys do too. So Quantic, thank you so much for joining us today here. Yeah, real quick, I know you have to jump here, but what's one way people can get started right now to play with that toy? Just give us a call to action.
Great. Call to action. Go to the GitHub link. It's everywhere at this point, but I'm going to pin it again on Web3 Matters account. Open the GitHub, open that on Cursor, and tell them, what can I build on top of this? And let it do. Let it play.
Let it play. I love it. Appreciate you there, Quantic. Congrats on your successful launch here. Appreciate all the alpha that you've shared with us, and look forward to catching up with you, because I am now a vibe coder, guys. I guess you didn't know this about me, but I know how to do that stuff. So I want to play with some toys. I want to play with some toys.
Absolutely, guys. Okay, I'll catch you with you later. But
Okay.
today's been very hard. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care,
Happy
Quantic.
holidays, Quantic.
Happy holidays as well.
Awesome. So, Kobe, I see you are already locked and loaded, my friend. What is this? Degen Settlement Quest. I'm enticed.
I had to unmute, but yeah. So this is I don't know. I was just trying to maybe think of like a cool, like kind of off the walls use case for this.
Yes.
And so this is kind of like a text-based RPG, I guess, that I made. And so, yeah, basically what it is like you're a meme coin dev, and you get to pick from different creators, and you hire them to help pump your meme coin. And then you, in theory, you can choose whether to sell early, sell neutrally, or sell late to see how much money you can get. And basically, after that, you settle the payments with them. But the initial contract was written, like the agreement was written using this, this ISO, payment messaging protocol, right? So basically, there's no way that the creators can say, "Oh, well, we agreed to this or we agreed to that," and then if you don't have the funds, then I think the best way for me to do it is just to run through this really quick.
Yeah.
It's about
Please
11 screens. It takes like maybe 2 minutes to run all the way through. So Degen Settlement Quest, love this home screen, by the way. Just for clarification,
cool.
This is fictional parody, no real tokens, just chaos. Obviously AI wrote that. Anyway, so the game, hire crypto influencers.
Real quick,
token,
Kobe, we lost your screen share, so we can't see.
Oh, okay, got you. All right, and so tell me if it
Nice.
drops again, but we're good now,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, sweet. So Degen Settlement Quest, yep, the game, the demo, see how Proof Rails creates immutable payment receipts, and then the tech, it uses the signatures, these hashes, and then on-chain anchoring. So let's go ahead and start the demo. So this is just to say that we're connected to Proof Rails using their API key or an API key and their base URL. So we'll go to the next screen. Here's the creator roster. So we get to choose from different creators. There's 10 to choose from. You can pick 5. Let's make sure that we want to get Thread Sensei.
Dad jokes. I love it. Thread Sensei, right, absolutely. And non
Thread
KOL,
Sensei.
Get him out of here.
Yep. Get Anon out of here. All right, let's go with Space.
Wholesome
Spaces
Builder. There's nothing
We-
sinister about that.
Right. All right, cool. So we've got 5 creators selected. Let's lock in our roster there and let's proceed to setting the payout. So um, let's just pick an amount, right? So let's go like 500, 500. We'll give DeFi Dad Jokes 2,000, of course.
Absolutely. Respect.
We'll give Thread Sensei 1,000 and Space's host, we'll give him 500. So this is going to be our total owed is 4150. So then we save the payout batch and then go to the next screen. So this is our launch sequence, right? So first a frog meme went viral, Spaces got crazy, and then someone posted a skull emoji, I guess. We are so back in theory. So here we go, our hype, our risk, and our price. This is kind of just like mock data anyway. So we're gonna go to our next screen.
Elon-esque silhouette. I love that.
um, so here's our decision choice, right? So we could sell now for a 0.9x multiplier and be safe. We could wait, or we could panic sell, which is the worst option. But we're gonna just go with wait a little bit. All right, cool. So we basically sold the top, we dumped on our community, and now we've got $13,190. And so now we're gonna go to the next screen. This is the settlement screen. So cool, little funny. I can pay most of you. So actually we can pay everybody. We can cover the payouts. So let's just select everybody. We can pay them. And then we're gonna lock the settlement in. Okay. And then we're gonna proceed to the receipts. It just generated the proof of rails receipts.
Wow.
Again, yep, this is using their exact method here. And so this is each creator's I don't even know what to call it, right? Series of ISO messages. So let's just go with let's go down to DeFi Dad Jokes. So you can locally verify it. So this shows okay, the XML hash is created, which is the like kind of that code block that that Quantix showed us, that like boring code block that banks actually use. And then 2 different JSON hashes, and then the signature that's also required. So
Okay.
you can also tamper with it. And so this button is basically to show that what happens with you when you tamper with these transactions after the proof has been created. If you try to tamper it and do something, it's going to detect tampering. And then it's going to basically say, no, like that's not what we agreed to. That's not the money that we agreed to. And so the last
That
thing
is
here.
cool.
Yeah, so you can view the ISO messages. You can download a zip file, like these 5 files for each of your, I don't know, agreements. And, this is the XML for the payment initiation or the agreement. This is a status. This is the received. This is the directed debit for you bankers out there. We know debits and credits. And then finally, our bank notification. So this is what the bank would get, right? And so we can
Damn.
download each of them like individually, and there it is right there, or we can download it as a bundle, right? And so then that just downloaded the zip, which we don't need to show, but so there's that. And you go to the next screen. This is your
Wait,
final.
real quick here, if I can just
Yeah.
jump in, I just got to say how cool this is first and foremost. I just kind of helped a specific project launch a token here, and they were working with KOLs, and there was a lot of just crap that went down between KOLs and the team here. Something like this,
Yeah.
I could see a huge use case for. There's another project that I'm not going to go into details here because it's confidential at the moment, but they're also working on technology to help improve the the project launch and KOL relationship grow in a way where it's ethical and it's helping all different, basically all parties win, but incentivizes them to do it in a way that's ethical. And yeah, I
Okay.
could see something like this really helping out, especially if you can, for the actual, that agreement part where you're actually
Yes.
agreeing on, this is how much
Terms.
I want to get paid. Yeah, the terms make it require like signatures from all parties before being finalized and stuff like that. And just also have that as proof of, okay, here's the actual blockchain signed contract that you signed. So there's no tampering, there's no going back on that. And
Right.
plus it's like super easy. Everything you need is there. Man.
Yeah,
you should-
exactly.
I've never seen anything like this being built before. You should like make this a real product. I will happily share
Yeah.
that with different teams that I connect with.
Yeah, please do. And I would love to, talk to them and kind of see what those pain points are with those experiences and see how I can like speak to those or create for those specific pain points too. Like that would be great.
Yeah.
This kind of started as just like a joke, like kind of this, you know, I put all the info about the repository and any other like kind of peripheral context into the
Mm,
AI and was like, yo, like give me some app ideas to show for a demo, right? And
mm.
then they were all boring. And I'm like, okay, like sure, these are all obvious use cases, but how about something more ridiculous? And so this was one of the ideas, and it was more about just like paying creators, and it's so yeah, I kind of narrowed it down, and now after talking about it and after kind of thinking about it more this morning, you're right, dude. Like actual
Yeah.
legit use case.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it could be
Also
for
just
contractors in Web 2, right? Like, okay,
yeah.
here's a contractors, subcontractors, things like that.
That would be awesome, man. I like as a guy who actively gets clients to do work for, a huge part of my time is actually tracking these people down to get paid. So having
Hmm.
something like this to actually have everything concrete, like it actually solves the problem of, contracts. Like
Right,
instead of
right.
actually having to sign a PDF now, everything is immutable, everything is on chain. And
You could send them a request to sign a transaction or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that would be like,
Hmm.
yeah, we're talking about this. This is
Yeah,
huge
yeah,
thinking.
definitely. Because I think too, so like to your point, so this is like the one of the last screens. This is the statement. So you can generate the
Oh, we lost
statement,
screen share
which
again.
okay. No worries. I think that's probably the work Wi-Fi kicking me
Mm.
off. Okay. Back, right?
Yep. Yeah, you're back.
Okay, cool. So I generated a statement for this. Excuse me. And this I
Awesome,
think
Tim.
is the actual code of the statement.
Okay.
And so here is the code, like the XML itself, right?
Mm.
And so if you wanted to stop, for anybody watching that's really curious, you could like pause this and kind of see what it's saying here. It says like the name, the amount of, the currency, right? This is Flare and
Mm.
500, and so on and so forth. But the cool thing is this is where I got the idea from what you were talking about earlier, is if you could make, so I set it up to make a human readable option.
Whoa. That's cool.
Yeah. So it shows like opening balance of 15K Flare.
Yeah.
This is how many debits that were created, and then this is how much left is in the account, right? Like this is actually the flow of what really happens in your checking account. Um,
Incredible.
yeah, and so we could even generate for this kind of like hypothetical app like that actually solves real problems that you're speaking of. Like we could make generate the XML, but also generate a dashboard that makes the statement human readable with like a link to download it, like maybe a button to make sure that it's not been tampered or something like that.
Mm.
um, yeah, ISO
That's
2022
huge.
bank to customer statement generated by Proofrails. All right, so
Yeah. And then I could
how do I
like
get out of this
essentially
modal?
take this information and bring it to my accountant at the end of the year.
Yes,
Here's all my
yes.
business that I had. This is
Hmm.
ISO compliant. Let's
Yes, dude.
figure it out. Wow.
Exactly.
It's
And so
crazy
yeah,
after
run.
all of this stuff, all of this time building in Web3 here. This is where you're at. You're building
Right.
infrastructure for yeah. Like,
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you're right. It kind of happened by accident. And luckily I just keep surrounding myself with the right people, like,
yeah.
working with a Whale and Flare Forward with DeFi Tracker Pro, which was a great opportunity. And I'm like forever grateful for them for bringing me in and let me
Hmm.
contribute. And that opened my eyes to a lot of things as well.
Absolutely.
Just one example was the Flare data connector, right? And being able to like bring data onto Flare, verify it with their validators, and then basically make that data more true, right? Or more verifiable. That was something that was never on my radar before.
Hmm.
And then today, yeah, being around Quantic and then launching this thing, we have a CEO in our midst now.
You sure
So,
do.
and I wouldn't be able to really be challenged to put my mind in those places if I wasn't continuing to surround myself with the right people. So for anybody listening, for Trav, for Whale, like just keep surrounding yourself with the right people, and things will, if you're creative and you push, which I know that both of you guys are both of those things, like really closely, I know those things about you, then you will find success as long as you continue to move forward. So
Love that.
also
Love
shout
that.
out to the artist on these. Shout out to the artist.
Okay, wait, is
This-
the artist AI or is the artist you? Who's I'm
Both.
taking? Hold up. Take a bow. There you go.
But yeah,
Well
that's
played,
it.
sir.
That's it.
Also,
That's it.
you still owe payments to 1 out of 5 of your KOLs here, so make sure to get on that, sir.
Oh, is that what that? Okay, that might be a bug. I think we paid them all, but
Okay, that's what I
whatever.
thought too.
Now I'm gonna have somebody in my DMs.
Exactly. And then a lot of FUD everywhere. Well, any thoughts about all this stuff? I'd love to kind of pick your brain about that.
No, I mean, it's been a great journey with Kobe, and I'm very grateful that we connected. He was insanely helpful with the DTP. I like the back end work that he did, the cleanup after the Redis, or not the Redis, the Replit mess up was amazing. And like I've been able to do so much progress. At the beginning, it was very slow, like seemed like nothing was happening. And now seeing all the work that he did and then just being able to move forward because everything is in its place, it's just been insane. So very grateful for Kobe. It was a great experience working with him and getting to know him, like not only in the professional side, but also on the personal side. I actually miss vibe coding with him at night. We were like
I know,
vibe
man.
coding for hours every day and it was amazing. I miss it.
Yeah, we'll get back to it for sure. For sure, we'll get back to it. January is about to be crazy, so let's get after it.
Yeah,
Love
for
it,
sure.
guys. Perfect. And then before we end it off, Will, did you want to share some of the work that you were talking about at the beginning of our stream?
Yeah, of course. Let me prepare this. Hold on.
Sure.
Yeah, while Will prepares that, let me take my screen share off, and then I am gonna clock back in. I'm still gonna stay in the stream, but I'm just not gonna say anything. So I'm gonna open my door, clock back in, and just hang out and support with vibes.
You are the man.
Awesome. All right, so this is where we are with the tracker. I just need to connect with Steven after this call to connect the database. After we did everything, we actually split it up. So this is the fully automatic version, and this is going to be the paid version. And then the old version that we had, the manual one, is going to be fully free for everybody. So just sign up with your
Unreal.
email and you're going to be able to use it. So once you log in, you have your wallets, and then here it gives you like your DeFi portfolio. So what we were talking earlier, right now my weighted APR is 40%, which is
Wow.
really nice.
Yes.
And then here I can see like this, I guess, claim feeds, yeah. So here I can see how I have my asset allocation, all the assets owned. If I go to my wallets, I can see on-chain tokens, DeFi positions, everything is just beautiful. Like if you add a wallet here, it takes around 1 minute for everything to populate, which was amazing. If I go
That's
to
huge.
liquidity pools, I can see my monthly, yearly, the fees, everything. I can see my LPs. This is the one that I was talking about, the staked XRP, FXRP. In terms of US dollar, I'm making 6%, but in terms of crypto, I'm actually making closer to 16%.
That's
So
unreal.
that's been amazing, and yeah, all of this is working. We have Enosis and we also have Spartex working. And then if you go to lending and borrowing, you have like the positions here. We implemented Enosis loans recently, which is also really nice with the liquidation price, everything. And then the other thing that I've been working lately, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with fixed yield, is so for example, I mean, the idea of the tracker is to be able to make better decisions, right? So if I go to Spectra and you go here, you have this chart, which is very confusing. Like it's very hard to understand what's going on here. So here I connected the API. So right now on the Rappler underlying token, I have my base, my implied. So I know that if I buy a principal token, I'm buying at that almost 13% discount right now, which I just bought some. And then just having this information to make better decisions.
Yes.
The next thing that I'm working on the trade history, this was kind of working and then it didn't. so that you can know exactly. So for example, this was 3 minutes ago, the amount that I bought. And then here, I'm going to say this is the principal token price and how much profit you actually locked in at
That's huge.
maturity.
That's
So yeah,
huge.
this is kind of what I'm working on right now. And then I also working on impermanent loss calculator. So you can do, okay, if I want to enter an LP from 150 to
Yeah, this is
210,
the coolest concept. I just want to say, I love
and
it.
then when you say, okay, I want to enter with 1000 XRP, so it automatically tells you how much USDT you have to put in to be able to say, here's the current price. It tells you how much FXRP you would have at the bottom of the range and how much USDT you would have at the top. And then here it gives you this. I need to work on this. This is kind of confusing. So this is something else. I can say, okay, if I want to be in for 45 days within this range, and then I can also simulate, okay, so what happens if I'm at 2.05? So this is going to give you
You can
my
tighten the
PNL.
range.
Not tight in the range, but you can simulate prices and what happens
Okay.
inside your LP at different price points. So if my top of the range is 210, at 2.5, I would be mostly converted into USDT. And then because
Ah,
of that, I can also create a hedge calculator. So I can know exactly how much I need to short if I want to be delta neutral at entry, or if I want to short my LP at the bottom. So let's say that I get out of range and the prices keep going down, then you're fully converted into crypto, and that crypto is losing value. So you could create a short right below the bottom of your range. And then even if your LP price is going down, you're making money on the short. So this is the things that I've been working on. It's just been insane how everything works. And I think that, like I was saying before, the work that Kobe's been doing, it's been super, super nice.
that's incredible. That is really cool. As a guy who's tampered or not tampered, that's not the right word, dabbled, there we go, in concentrated liquidity, having a tool like that is huge. There was another
Yeah.
tool kind of similar but different that I came across maybe about a year and a half, going on 2 years ago when I was messing around with Uniswap. But it definitely seems like yours here is it just makes so much more sense. Like there's so many more layers to it that are actually useful. Like I love how you can customize the range. I love how you can there's the hedge calculator. I've never seen that anywhere here. And then you could there's another word I'm looking for. Simulate, what happens if price gets to this point and see what happens. And I think that's super cool. And just the idea, the thought of or the strategy of hedging your bets when it comes to concentrated liquidity just makes so much sense as well. Like way to just
Yeah.
make your mindset bulletproof.
For sure. And then you can have, of course, you can have a bias on the direction,
Mhm.
but ideally, if you can hedge your position, then you can really separate your fees from the price movement or the market movement, which is ideal because then you can be
Absolutely.
harvesting the fees and not worry that your capital is going to be nuked because the market went down.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is what I'm working on. And then on top of this, now that I have the information from the LPs, basically of the whole network, then I can make studies of what other people are doing. And then I'm trying to figure out how to extract that information so that I can make better decisions on if it's the right time to trade, if it's the right time to LP, so on and so on. So it's pretty exciting.
That's super cool. I feel like I have so many more questions I want to ask you, but we should probably
Dude,
save
ask
that
them
for another
all.
day.
Ask them all.
Okay, one quick question here. I just for my own personal curiosity here. What's some of the criteria from your experience that kind of indicate when is a good time to LP and when is a good time to trade?
Uh, well, I mean, I have certain criteria for entering LPs. My number one is the total value locked on that LP. Of course, the higher the value, the better because there's less manipulation.
Mm,
Number two is, am I happy to hold either asset long term? Like if I get fully converted into either asset, do I want to hold it? And then I haven't been figure out like if it's a good time to enter or not, but like for example, as you can see, all my LPs are correlated. Like I don't have any USDT or stablecoin LP, because I see that the
Right.
the liquidity is so low that right now, if you enter, the price can move so fast that it's probably not a good time to be in an LP, which also makes the problem higher because it doesn't feel like a good time to enter an LP. Then there's not that much liquidity, so then prices move much faster, and then everything just becomes exponential. But yeah, so this is where I am. I'm pretty excited about this and just like seeing it work. I did a demo the other day live where I added this wallet and then just see everything pop up correctly, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
That's super cool. That's super cool. To anyone who's interested, Will and I have been talking off camera here as well, and we're considering doing a stream where I'll actually take some of my own personal funds, start plugging them into some liquidity pools here, and then we can also kind of incorporate the DeFi Tracker Pro into the stream here as well, just to show how I am making my own personal DeFi strategy come to life here. So if you guys be interested in that, let us know, and hopefully there'll be some ton of good stuff there that you guys can take away from it. I'm super excited.
I'm interested. I'm interested.
Yeah, for sure. Let's make it. And like, you don't need much money. Like I've said, we can start with $10 and just do a demo of all the protocols, show you guys
Perfect.
how it works, and yeah. So, have you guys played with a fixed yield before?
No, I have not.
Yeah. So basically, it's like, let's say that you have a apple tree, and then you separate the value of the apple tree and the yield that you get every year, which are the apples. So at the beginning, like when the maturity is far away, the principal token, which is the tree, is worth less. And then as the time realizes and the yield actually happens, then it gets converted into the principal token. So as you can see right now, if I go to the fixed yield part, this is what I was telling you. If you are interested in buying SFlare, right now you know that you're buying each token that you're buying it at a 13% discount, and it will be realized on May. So
So
this
then,
is like a long-term play, but if you wanna secure some yield, you know that because you're buying it at a discount, you just have to wait and then you make it. So this is going to be a great move. This is probably more attractive for larger capital, but like if I can know that I can make 13% profit in the next 4 months, like why not? You know, like this is a very low risk move, so I'm pretty excited about it.
so I think maybe I missed a piece of that. So based on this, if you were to buy Flare or Wrapped Flare now, by May, it would be worth, you would gain an extra, what was it, 33% if you put it in a liquidity position, or
No. So you can do LPs. So for
mm,
example, right now seems like doing LPs is also a good move. Like
yeah.
depositing on liquidity pools are also good. And the liquidity pools are comprised of PT, principal token, and Y tokens. So you're basically trading between the two of them.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
the fixed liquidity. Is
that's
the
the
top
fixed
one that you're
liquidity.
talking
Yeah.
about.
So
Okay.
you can buy the principal token. So if you think that the principal token is underpriced, then you buy it. And yeah, just basically the people that are gambling with the yield token, because the yield token, you are gambling that the returns are going to be higher. So it says effective APY, which is 34%, but that's annualized because the maturity is in May. Then the actual realized APY in this case would be 12.62%. So
Okay.
I'm still trying to fully understand this. This is very complex. I feel like a lot of the things that are happening are becoming more and more complex. But that's why I'm creating these tools so that I can simplify a lot of that process and just see data that it's easy to understand.
Brilliant. I mean, I'm all about it. That's kind of been my own core mission here, literally since day one on X, was to make these complicated topics understandable so that people can win, like, financially on crypto. And I
For
love
sure.
how this is just, that narrative is just expanded in so many ways, not only financially. Well, I guess in a sense, it always kind of ends up being financially. It's just the means are kind of different here and there. You can win through DeFi. You could win through building. You could win through working and contracting and all of these different ways here. And that's one thing I appreciate about these live streams, guys, is we're always, that's always the end goal. And we're always delivering value in different areas. A lot of the times from our own personal experience, sharing what works, what doesn't here. So yeah, feeling uplifted and encouraged here at the end of this conversation. Any final
For
thoughts you
sure.
guys wanted to share before we wrap it up here today?
Yeah, real quick. I mean, coming back to how we started the stream, I feel like there are two kinds of people in crypto: the people that are hoping others add value to their investments, and then you have the people that are adding value to or making their investments more valuable. And I think that it's important that we support the people that are actually building and working hard to make this a successful, uh, how do you call it, like a successful space. And I don't know, the people that are like, oh, can't wait for retail to come so we can rock them, they
Yeah.
make me sick, to be honest, because those people are just leeches
Yep.
and vampires of this space. And I think that part of where we are, it's exactly because of that. So support the people that are actually building, that are actually trying to create value, and not the people that are here just to extract. Because I mean, it is a space that it's easy for people to extract value, but I don't think that we're going to win. Like, how many times can we rock retail and expect them to come back?
Yeah. If you want mass adoption to happen, there's like people only have one impression. They only need one impression to make a decision whether they actually want to stay or whether they want to go. So if it's like a brand new user to Web3 shows up and all of a sudden they're getting rugged, the odds of them coming back is tiny. And the fact that we've all been out here building our asses off, growing our asses off, learning our asses off, up until now, mass adoption is going to be a good thing for us in most cases here. So, got to break that
I
stigma.
totally agree. And just to add to that point too, and I'm not trying to like stick up for the ruggers or kind of the the leeches, the people that are like pure extract mode. Um, but we can't expect them to stop, right?
Correct.
And so I think it's instead of trying to weed out those people, right? And of course, that's not our job, or if it's anybody's job, really. I think the move is to, and it, Flare Forward, people like Flare Forward, and back when I was doing the education stuff with Vesta, education, educating new people into the space, to protect, so they can protect themselves from participating in that. Um, because if nobody participates, and obviously we're seeing like way less participation on things like Pump.Fun and stuff than we were, at this time last year. If people just don't participate, then the incentive will go away, and then these jerks can like go back to calling old ladies for um, to buy them gift cards because they're whatever, insert the name of the scam there. So yeah, education first. And so yeah, shout out to people like Flare Forward and other folks. And I know Flare Forward's more like DeFi education, but I know that there's folks out there educating people on like what to do, what not to do, what to pay attention to, what to ignore, in order to protect your purse.
One thing that I've been understanding more and more is that the difference between exciting and boring is that exciting is gambling and boring is investing. Because like that 40% that I'm averaging on my yearly yield is not necessarily exciting. It's not 100x, but that's how you create wealth. And that's why I focus so much on the mindset, because like the moment that you're trying to get excitement, that's gambling. And it's fine.
Yes.
Like there's nothing wrong with gambling, but if you really want to become serious with this, you just have to create processes where you're creating wins consistently, even if it's not exciting. And that's what I've been saying about the 1%. Like the other day, I told Kobe, hey, there's an arbitrage 3%. And he was like, oh, dude, that's too much work for 3%. And I was like, dude, if doing 2 clicks and a reminder on your calendar, it's too much work for that 3%, then what are we talking about? Like, sure,
Bro,
it's
I'm
not,
infected. I'm infected with that mind virus that you're speaking of, dude. I'm guilty for sure.
so
100%.
if you can make consistent gains, it doesn't have to be 100x. It's just consistent and it adds up over time. And I think that that's the right way to approach this space, because there are products that are definitely doing things like we saw what Quantic is doing, and that is not exciting at all. But I feel like those products are the ones that can revolutionize this space over the long term. It's just not going to be exciting. It's not going to be your next 1000x. It's just something that over time is going to grow the value of your investment. And yes, kudos for Quantic because he shows up every single day.
Yes.
And I respect that a lot in people that is not only showing up when it's exciting.
Love that. And I love that there's validation there as well. I've been saying this in AMAs and live streams now for a while, but one thing I'm really, encouraged by is that the crypto community definitely seems to be maturing. Again, I'm not sure if this is just my own echo chamber that I've created, but it definitely seems like I'm seeing a lot less conversations about, just the worst things out there, like 10,000 Xing your ports and stuff like that. People are actually being part of those conversations about stable coins now. People are actually wanting to take part in conversations about like safe for yield opportunities and stuff like that. The idea of 100, 10, 100,000 Xing is really, people have seen that it's not a sustainable way to, grow your portfolio over time. And you can certainly win that way, but how many times have you guys heard, people tell that story of, oh, I had 6 figures in my port and then lost it all the next day. The one big thing that I've tried to swap in my own personal narrative is switch the mindset from tasks that will reward me now and punish me later to punish me now and reward me later. While when it comes to something like investing in DeFi for the long term with APRs and APYs of like 15, 20%, like, yeah, I'm not going to be excited. I'm not going to be having a fun time doing my research and doing my own due diligence. Yes, exactly. But, in a year's time, 2 years time, 3 years time, 5 years time, I'm going to be very grateful that I did. So yeah, great conversation, guys. I'm loving this like a Big Mac.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the invite. It's always a pleasure to join you guys. And yeah, happy holidays to everybody. Go touch some grass. Like the crypto market
Or
will
some
still
snow.
be here.
Or some snow.
Yeah, or some snow or some sand in my case. Yeah, enjoy.
Love it. Love it. Any final words you want to share there, Kobe? Are you able to chat?
Yeah, man. I mean, I echo everything you guys said, and maybe I'm gonna take like kind of a 90-degree angle, and a little bit of a shameless plug. I'm building a basically a cursor prompt, like a UI playbook, basically like something to take your AI generated app or website and like make the UI look like it wasn't AI generated. And I'm starting off with, I'm just testing demand. And so I'm going to build a landing page first. I'm starting a wait list. So the wait list does have limited spots. So stay tuned if you guys want to get some of those first wait list spots. It doesn't cost you anything. The only thing it costs you is your email address. Feel free to reach out to myself in DMs or somewhere on the timeline, and I'll make sure to get anybody that wants early access, which comes with like a couple free prompts. That'll get you guys on the list. So looking forward to rolling that out for you guys.
Hell yeah. And just as like to summarize that up one more time, it's something that you're creating to help make the UIs for vibe coding just better and not look like AI.
Exactly. Yep. 100%. 100%. Just it's that simple. Make your sites and apps not look generated.
That's super cool. Awesome, man. Appreciate you doing that for the community. That's like a huge value add. Excellent. And then from my own end, no, I think that's pretty much it there, guys. This has been
hold on. Everybody stop what you're doing. You need to go to Trav's profile and you need to go and watch the video that he posted where with the merch drop that he got from Soulflare.
Man.
First of all, sick edit. Second of all,
thank you.
I love the no talking. I love the no talk, like that's a great idea. There's zero AI in there. Love that. And the merch is sick. So shout out Soulflare. You guys hooked him up. And now he asked me to prom and we're going steady.
You mean Quantic. Here we go.
Yeah, let's go.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for the shout out there, Kobe. And thank you, Soulflare, for that just incredible merch and for that inspiration, for that awesome video. That was actually so fun to make. I really enjoyed it. Excellent,
Do it
guys.
more, dude. Do it more.
I will. If I get call to action for any builders out there, if you guys want to send me some merch, happy to make some videos here. So that's that call to action there. Guys, a lot of fun here. We're pushing 150 viewers, which is impressive considering the market conditions here. To everyone who's been a part of this conversation, just we appreciate you guys so much. You know, this is why we're here, is to bring value to you guys every single week, every single day. And so if there's any feedback you guys have, if there's any questions you guys have, anything that we can do better, anything you want to learn more about, anything that we just gave you terrible information on and you want to call us out, you know, let us know. Whether it's on any Web3 Matters posts, whether it's on any of our own personal posts, our ears are open. So without further ado, Will, Kobe, thank you guys so much for being a part of the conversation here as well today. And we will see you guys next week, same time, same place. And meanwhile, on the timeline here. So have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.